So Immutable X just got hit with a 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐧 notice from the SEC. Wilder World just did their airdrop for their Trinity holders, which is doing pretty well. Marble X is looking into a partnership with Immutable X, and we're going to be going over our node profits to date, as well as more upcoming Web3 games that I have on my radar right now. If you enjoy this kind of content, like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So if you haven't noticed already, Immutable X has had a bit of a downturn in terms of its price action over the past 24 hours. This is because of brand new news that is confirming that the Immutable has received a 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐧 notice from the SEC. Now, first thing I'm going to say is I'm not some kind of legal expert, so I'm not going to be able to tell you whether or not this is good or bad news. But I will say that Immutable has taken it upon themselves to be the ones to break the news instead of the SEC or some other third party doing it. So it's good to see that they're tackling this head on. And so let's see what they go ahead and say about this. Immutable has received a 𝐉𝐨𝐬𝐧 notice from the SEC, the latest in their de facto policy of regulation by enforcement. We received this within hours of our first ever conversation on a timeline clearly accelerated to land before an election. Sadly, stories like this are becoming less surprising each time. We've seen an increasing number of companies like Coinbase, Consensus, Uniswap, OpenSea, Crypto.com face SEC escalations many of the last 2 months. So clearly they're going ahead and expanding into gaming here, and that's a big deal, which I find fairly interesting considering that other countries such as Japan have actually been becoming more lenient in terms of their crypto gaming laws. And so, of course, the US has never really been a trailblazer in terms of crypto, but compliance is accelerating very quickly. And in fact, CZ Binance, the CEO currently, he will likely be the former CEO of Binance at some point or another over the course of the next year, who went ahead and was released from prison. Remember, he served 4 months due to some kind of stuff that was going on with Binance. I don't want to get too deep into it, but what is important is what he said. And he said that the US is accelerating very quickly into compliance and is so much further along than it was before. So focusing on positives when it comes to these situations, you might see it as a negative for gaming, but I see it as a positive because it's going to make the SEC explore into what gaming has gone ahead and produced. And of course, inevitably will lead to regulation, which hopefully, you know, fingers crossed here, depending on where the landscape falls in crypto, there's very clear indication that the masses are very into crypto. So the SEC is going to have to go ahead, lose this one, and hopefully it's going to be better in terms of regulatory clarity, lead the crypto space in the US in a positive direction. So that's kind of the news here. Immutable just kind of talking about what they've been doing. I will kind of see. I mean, this is a big deal because Immutable right now is the biggest gaming coin in terms of exposure right now. So very clearly, this is a big deal for the gaming space. Other things in the news. Earlier this year, they announced a partnership with Netmarble's Marble X, one of the largest public gaming companies in South Korea. They have 5 AAA games and 24 million players. Here's what he has to go ahead and say, the CEO, about building on Immutable.
다들 아시다시피 이뮤터블은 세계에서 가장 큰 게이밍 이코시스템을 구축하고 있는 회사이고요. 마블렉스는 5종의 트리플 A급 게임과 2,400만 명의 글로벌 유저를 보유하고 있습니다. 현재 질 높은 컨텐츠를 보유하고 있는 마블렉스와 세계에서 가장 큰 이코시스템을 구축하고 있는 이뮤터블 간의 시너지를 통해서 앞으로 마블렉스가 글로벌로 발전시켜 나갈 수 있는 좋은 계기가 될 것이라고 기대하고 있습니다.
Cool. That's it. Very simple stuff, right? So hopefully it helps them expand. So if we actually look at what Marble X has right now on their blockchain, as you can see here, it has a little Marble X tab. They have Ni no Kuni. If you didn't know, Netmarble is pretty much one of the biggest companies in South Korea. So they're absolutely enormous in terms of gaming. And Ni no Kuni has a lot of downloads. I remember at one point, everybody was talking about Ni no Kuni. I'm actually really big into gacha games, or at least I was back in my Summoners War days. So I am very well antiquated with what Ni no Kuni is. And so them being on Marble X, Immutable, it's an interesting partnership. We'll see what goes ahead and comes from that. So something else I want to go ahead and talk about right now is kind of the market currently for crypto gaming, right? Because it's very clear that the market's fairly slow in terms of price action for the overall crypto gaming space. Of course, there are outliers, which we often cover in the channel and go ahead and trade. But like you look at what's happening right now on Dex Screener and the meme coin space, and it's absolutely like crazy. There was like this squirrel that I don't even want to get into it, but like it passed away because of the government. It was absolutely ridiculous. This thing gets $73 million in, what is this, a couple hours? Like half a day? Something absolutely ridiculous. And clearly, like, the crypto gaming space isn't really producing these things. But I will say that given the venture capital environment right now, that it's very positive for crypto gaming, extremely positive for crypto gaming. And I've got to say that because of off the grid, because of what many of these companies are building, especially South Korea is a big company, a big country for the crypto gaming space. It's leading to more funding for crypto games, which is also leading to a lot of these crypto games doing equity-based rounds, which, if you didn't know, it has nothing to do with the token, right? And if it has something to do with the token, then that's really good for price action because it focuses on the company rather than the actual underlying token, which means there's going to be less sell pressure and it's going to be more positive. We're also seeing more crypto gaming rounds kind of come up that are in the lower FDV realm. So people that get into them earlier are more likely to profit. We've actually seen quite a few of these plays actually do fairly well. And that's why node sales are such a hot thing right now. They're such a hot commodity because people are looking for these earlier FDVs. And if you can get into these earlier tiers, there's good reason that these have been so positive in terms of price action. Another thing I wanted to talk about is this right here. So this is a post. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are now on Off the Grid. It's a brand new event off the Grid Pro subscription. And so I went ahead and played on it, got 52 kills. I want to talk about this because I think this is a brand new narrative that's going to be coming into the crypto gaming space. For the longest time, we haven't really had the games necessary to actually play them and make content on them. But that has very quickly shifted. And, you know, Off the Grid, it's one of the first games that I'm actually able to live stream consistently and show off some pretty solid looking gameplay. I mean, you could look at it for yourself. It looks good. I mean, it's genuinely a very good game. You could check this out right now for free on the Epic Games Store, on Xbox, on PS5. It's absolutely awesome. And I've gone ahead and rebranded my DeFi channel into specifically providing play to earn, play to airdrop, as well as just general crypto gaming gameplay. I hope you'll support my move to go ahead and expand into the gameplay realm, because I feel like if we're going to expand and onboard the next million users into crypto gaming, we're going to need to be the ones to show them and also show them the awesome gameplay. And that's exactly what we're going to do as one of the most competitive gamers in the entire crypto gaming space, undefeated on many, many different tournaments. So next thing, Wilder World, a very long time sponsor on the channel, has gone ahead and finally released their land titles. I actually looked at the floor price of mine. I have a space mine. It's about 0.75 ETH. So we're actually pretty deep in the profit from when I actually started talking about it, which is awesome. I mean, we love seeing that. The floor price for the base one is 0.4 ETH, which is still pretty damn solid. Like, it's doing very well. Wilder lands are going to be the most important ones, essentially, in the entire ecosystem in terms of their island, because this is their genesis. So anything else that comes after that, they're not as cool. I personally like the island, and I'm going to be keeping mine. We'll see what ends up coming from this, but it seems to me that Wilder World reminds me a lot of what Star Atlas is building in terms of giving value to the people that own the NFTs, not only just the token. So I have exposure in their token, of course. I have plenty of it because I think it's undervalued. But I also have exposure into their Trinity, which is their 3 NFTs that give you special perks inside of the game. And talking about the Star Atlas ecosystem, they have $4 million in Star Atlas loot, which is up for grabs over the next 16 weeks for people participating in their ecosystem. So there's a lot of money being put into marketing right now. I think November is going to be the start of a big run for crypto gaming and the overall utility token space. Now, in terms of our node profits, I want to kind of update people on where we're at. We're making about $10 a day on our Myriad nodes. We already got ROI earlier this year. Aether, after we claimed our tokens in the next 140-ish days, we should have ROI on our Aether tokens and nodes. We'll likely have more than that, actually, but you know, it kind of is what it is. We're making about $23 a day there. In terms of carb, we're making $86 a day, and ROI is in less than probably 30 to 40 days at this point, so about a month into ROI. And this token's only been out for what is about half a month. I think node plays are going to continue to show strength as they are currently, and so we're capitalizing that on our actual Discord, which you should be on our Discord if you're trying to capitalize on these opportunities. The more support we get, the better the spots we get. And of course, the more value we can go ahead and push onto our audience. So next things, in terms of gameplay, two major playtests have gone ahead and happened. The first one is Play Chronoforge, and these guys, a lot of people were hyped for them. They are an RPG game. This is just some gameplay right now of the game. Personally, I am not particularly impressed by the current gameplay inside of it. It reminds me of a couple games that came out 10 years ago, so we'll see what happens when they actually end up updating this and coming further along. But for now, I've been getting mixed reviews on what Chronoforge is building at the moment. Other things, L3E7, which is the world's first 3D LBS, location-based service game. A lot of people have been telling me that it definitely has a lot of fan service, so the big... You know what I'm talking about is in this game. I mean, you could look at it right now. And other things is it's kind of empty. I mean, you can kind of see the game world is fairly empty, but of course this is just like a play test and it already ended. So it could just be because they don't have a lot of people playtesting it. Doesn't necessarily mean the game is bad. It's a pretty cookie cutter, anime, waifu, fan service game. And we'll see what ends up coming from it in terms of the blockchain aspect. So that's going to be your video for today. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you enjoyed the news updates. If you do, like and subscribe for more crypto gaming updates. Until next time, stay classy, and that's all.